The most insane billionaire ever. Masayoshi Son was the wealthiest person on the planet for 3 days. Then, almost overnight, he lost about $70 billion, which is the most money anyone has ever lost. Once, after a 45-minute meeting, he was able to get $45 billion in funding. He is recognized as the person who made the best investment ever. On the other hand, many people think he's just a crazy gambler who treats the economy like a casino and is doing terrible things to the economy as a result. This man once said he would burn himself if he didn't get a business deal. A billionaire investor who has put his faith in entrepreneurs based on little more than a hunch or a flash of inspiration. Most people in the world know almost nothing about this man. They should, though. He is changing the economy in the world, and he is betting on our future. And one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard is about him. It gives you hope. It's very scary. Most of all, it's completely crazy. Masayoshi Son, like many entrepreneurs, was born an outsider with a point to prove and an unwavering ambition to achieve. Son grew up in a highly hierarchical environment with few chances, having been raised in an impoverished Korean family who had initially arrived at Japan, hidden in the hull of a tiny fishing boat. Son, on the other hand, has risen to one of the world's most powerful investors thanks to his natural intelligence, relentless hard work, eccentric appeal, and happy talent for identifying the next technology wave. SoftBank Group, which he formed in 1981, is today one of Japan's 5 most valuable publicly traded enterprises, with investments in many market-leading technology firms. He looked up to a Japanese McDonald's manager named Den Fujita, who told him to move to the United States to finish his education. He was only 16 years old at the time. He moved to San Francisco to stay with friends and family there, and he finished high school in just 3 weeks by taking the classes he needed. Then he went to the University of California at Berkeley, where he studied engineering and became very interested in microchips. By the time he was 19, he was sure that computers were the future. With the help of professors, he made an electronic translator that he sold to Sharp Corporation for $1.7 million. He also thought that video games would become popular, so he bought used games in Japan and brought them to the US to put in college dorms and restaurants, where he made another $1.5 million. Again, Son did what Fujita told him to do and started studying English and computer science. He got his Bachelor of Science in Economics in 1980. When Masayoshi left Japan, his family had taken on the Japanese last name Yoshimoto and used it. After making a lot of money to start his business, he went back to Japan and decided to use his Korean last name, Son, instead. This simple act scared his family, who had been living a lie, but it also made him a role model for ethnic Korean children in Japan right away. Son then started to build his company, which he started in 1981 when he was 24 years old, and called SoftBank. SoftBank is a Japanese multinational holding company with its headquarters in Tokyo. Its main business is managing investments. They're also behind the now famous Vision funds, which have $100 billion in capital and are the biggest source of funding for tech startups in the world. Let's look at the many great deals that Masayoshi Son and SoftBank have made. The first investor to put money into Yahoo were Son and SoftBank. You know Yahoo, which used to be a big name in technology. During the dot-com bubble, the stock price of the company went through the roof. In 2000, it closed at an all-time high of $118.75. In 2001, after the bubble burst, it hit an all-time low of $8.11. SoftBank was always a shareholder, but they were able to sell shares to cover their initial investment to make a lot of profit. In the middle of the 1980s, SoftBank put billions of dollars into a huge number of new internet companies. Some, like Alibaba, made a lot of money, which helped make up for the big losses from Cosmo and Webvan. People started calling Son Mr. Internet because he put so much money into online business. Son's net worth went up, but then it went down when the internet bubble burst in 2000. What was the internet bubble? Wikipedia says the dot-com bubble was a stock market bubble in the late 1990s, a period of massive growth in the use and adoption of the internet. Between 95 and its peak in March 2000, the Nasdaq Composite Stock Market Index rose 400%, only to fall 78% from its peak by October 2002, giving up all its gains during the bubble. Masayoshi Son's paper wealth dropped by $70 billion. A year before that, my net worth was going up by $10 billion every week, Son told Bloomberg TV. For 3 days, I was richer than Bill Gates. Our stock started going down before I told anyone else about it. We almost went bankrupt. To sum up, 93% of SoftBank's market value, which was $78 billion, was wiped out, making SoftBank's loss to $70 billion. After the bubble burst, Masayoshi Son slowly built up his investment capital again by making smart investments in early startup companies and selling shares in SoftBank to other investors. About 25% of the shares in SoftBank are now owned by Masayoshi Son. It's time to talk about the best deal ever made on an investment. After talking with Jack Ma for 10 minutes in 1999, Masayoshi Son put $20 million into the Chinese tech company Alibaba. 2014, when the Chinese e-commerce company went public, SoftBank's investment of $20 million was worth almost $75 billion. SoftBank's luck has been getting worse over the past few years. On August 8th this year, SoftBank said that it had lost $23.4 billion from April to June 2022, having lost more than $40 billion altogether in the 6 months since January. SoftBank told Alibaba shares for the first time since 1999 to cover their losses. They now own less than 20% of Alibaba's shares. They also sold their shares in Uber Technologies and home selling platform Opendoor Technologies for a total gain of $5.6 billion. The plan of SoftBank and Son is to invest in companies that will become unicorns. In business, a unicorn is a new company that is privately owned and worth more than $1 billion. SoftBank has a stake in almost 300 of the world's unicorns companies. Maybe some of these unicorns will give SoftBank a huge return on their investment, but right now SoftBank and many other investment companies are just seeing red numbers. Masayoshi Son's wealth is around $22 billion, and a lot of it depends on how well SoftBank is doing. What about his personal life? Son met his wife, Masami Ono, at Berkeley, where he went to school. The couple has 2 daughters and lives in a $50 million mansion with 3-story and a temperature-controlled golf course in Tokyo. Son also owns a home in Woodside, California, which he bought for $117 million. All this isn't too bad for a poor kid from Korea. If you like stories about people who start successful businesses, you should watch the next one about Nora, who quit school when she was 12 and became a multi-millionaire when she was 16. That's all for now. I hope to see you in the next one.